So today it's just going to be a real quick, easy video on changing wheel bearings in this Ford Focus that I've made a couple other small videos about. The reason why I thought it was important to make this video is when I went to go and buy the part, they were trying really hard to push me in the direction of buying the whole hub as opposed to just the bearing. The claim of some of these stores was that they didn't carry the bearing at all, or that it was a sealed hub and you couldn't just replace the bearing. Finally, after doing some research, I did find that you can replace the bearing, and I was able to convince Napa to sell me this part. When it comes to these types of specific small parts like bearings, races, wiring stuff, hoses, Napa is better than Advanced or AutoZone for that kind of thing because they specialize in a lot of heavy equipment. So all that they had to do at Napa to find these bearings for me was just to cross-reference the part through their system, and they finally were able to pull up that part, and they were able to actually they had one right there in the store, and then they just had to bring another one in from their warehouse. It was no big deal. And of course, when Napa told me the part number for that bearing, I called around, and Advanced and AutoZone wanted something like $57 for just the bearing, which was about the same price as getting it as like a sealed unit in the brake drum hub. But at Napa, I was able to get these bearings for only $27 each, so it was literally about half the price of anywhere else. I found that the job was much easier than I expected. I actually expected, from what everybody was trying to tell me at all these parts stores, that I was going to have to press the bearing in and out of the hub and that it was a sealed unit. And even at Napa, they were under the impression that it required a press to do this. But I found that once I took it apart, the only thing holding this bearing into the hub was a snap ring. After removing the snap ring, I was able to just push the bearing out very, very, very easily, and it was nothing. I didn't need any special tools. As a matter of fact, I didn't even use snap ring pliers on this job. However, I would suggest, if you plan on doing this on a Ford Focus or something similar with a sealed hub or what claims to be a sealed hub, to get a pair of snap ring pliers. It'll make the job a little bit faster for you. And this bearing is sealed, so there is no grease to pack. It literally has a rubber seal in it, so you couldn't pack grease into it even if you wanted to. So just a quick rundown. All you have to do is jack up your car, obviously, remove the wheel and tire. Once you have that off, you just pop the dust cover off, and behind that there is an axle nut. It's just a 30mm socket. You go ahead and pull that off. There's no cotter pin in it. It's a self-locking nut, so you just literally throw a socket on there and loosen it up. And then once that's off, the whole drum and hub will just come straight off. It's all one piece. The drum doesn't sit over a hub. The drum is the hub. Once you have the drum off, all you have to do is go to the back side of it. There's a snap ring. You just remove the snap ring, and then the bearing will just slide right out. No pressing involved. Once you get out your old bearing, just slide in the new one. You might have to tap it in there. If you do end up having to tap it in there, use a socket on the face of the bearing. Don't tap directly on the bearing, and tap it as light as you possibly can, because you don't want to ruin a brand new bearing, especially a bearing that's a little bit expensive like these. Once you have it fully seated, just reinstall your snap ring, and it's just a reverse process. A lot of times when I'm working on stuff with axle nuts, I find that I have to tighten it in the first stage, then back it off a little bit to make it so that it rides smoothly. But when I did this, it was literally you just tighten it until it stops, and there was no stage tightening it or torquing it. I'm sure that there is a torque spec for it, but it doesn't seem that critical to me. I literally ran it straight on there with my impact, and even it will literally stop because it'll engage the lock when it's at its proper torque, and that's it, you're done. You might not want to do it this way if you have something a little bit more powerful like the Milwaukee 1,000 foot-pound unit, because you might break the lock. But if you're doing this with just a hand ratchet or a small torque gun, like a small impact like what I was using, you should have no problem. So yeah guys, like I said, this is a super simple job. This is one of the easiest wheel bearings I've ever done, despite everybody trying to lead me into buying a full hub. So don't be afraid to tackle this job. This is an awesome, easy first project for anybody. And don't let yourself get ripped off by a shop trying to charge you $300 to do a wheel bearing when it's literally, it took me less than 20 minutes to replace this wheel bearing. Thank you so much for watching this little quick tip. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Everything from other how-to videos to some more fun stuff like events and that kind of thing. And I'm also doing a giveaway that ends on Friday, May 11th. So check that out, and I'll throw a link down in the description for that.